Alright, welcome to the Strange North channel. In this video, I'm going to take you through the beautiful resort village of Manitou Beach. This area has a much more interesting history than most of the lakes that you're going to find on the Canadian prairies. Manitou Beach has a lot to offer visitors, and I was really looking forward to doing this video, and so I'm just going to jump right into it. The village of Manitou Beach sits on the southern shores of Little Manitou Lake, which is about 120 kilometers southeast of Saskatoon. So Little Manitou Lake is actually a salt lake, and the salt content in the water is about half that of the Dead Sea in the Middle East. And this allows people to float easily in this lake, and Little Manitou Lake is often referred to as the Dead Sea of Canada. And then going back many years, there's an interesting legend regarding the healing properties of this water. The Cree people who were in the area of Saskatchewan were exposed to smallpox, and they suffered devastating losses, and their traditional methods of treatment were ineffective. And so there's this local legend in the area of this tribe that was moving across the prairie, and they set up their camp near what is now known as Little Manitou Lake. The men in the tribe fell sick, and they were too weak to travel further. It is said that the afflicted men were overcome with fever and thirst, and they crawled to the lakeshore to drink the water and immerse themselves in the cool lake. The exhausted men slept on the beach overnight, and in the morning they noticed that they felt a bit better. They attributed this improvement to the lake itself, and so they stayed on the beach drinking and immersing themselves in the water. Within just a few days of arriving at the lake, these men had fully regained their strength and health, and they continued on their journey. When these men reunited with their tribe, the tribe members were surprised by the rapid return of the men's health. And so the legend of the healing waters of this lake was born, and medicine men named this lake Manitou, a word that means great spirit. And as a quick side note, I noticed a few parallels between Little Manitou Lake and Lac St. Anne in Alberta. And that lake is also known for the healing properties of its water, and there's a large pilgrimage to Lac St. Anne every year. And the Lac St. Anne mission was even visited by the Pope in 2022, one of his few stops on his Canadian tour that year. And the First Nations name for Lac St. Anne is Manitou Sakahigan, which means God's Lake or Lake of the Great Spirit. Anyway, I didn't want to dwell on Lac St. Anne. I just noticed that there were a few parallels between these bodies of water, and I found that interesting. So Little Manitou Lake developed this reputation as a place of healing among the First Nations people in this area, and this quickly spread to the European settlers who moved to the region. In the year 1919, Manitou Beach was incorporated as a resort village, and in the 1920s and 1930s, it was the most popular summer resort on the prairies, and it rivaled Banff and Jasper for annual visitors. People would travel here by train when the nearby town of Watrous became a division point of the Canadian National Railway. Thousands of cars would be parked on fields on the weekends, and the beach population would grow from 200 to 15,000 people during the summer months. Over the decades, due to changes in technology and societal patterns, this area declined in prominence over time as a tourist attraction. However, Manitou Beach still draws people from all over the world, and this small resort village has a lot to offer visitors. And I just had a lot of fun hanging out in this area, and I definitely want to go back. I'll start with the Manitou Springs Resort and Mineral Spa. This is a really cool facility, and it actually contains Canada's largest indoor natural mineral spa. And they have a pool area where they pump in water from the lake and then filter and heat it up. And this area has 3 different pools that are at 3 separate temperatures. And over the years, many people have claimed that the mineral content of this water is very therapeutic and healing, and this place draws people from across the globe. The resort has 105 guest rooms, a full-service spa, dining and convention facilities, as well as a large gift shop where you'll find mineral products extracted from the lake, as well as various products from Saskatchewan and across Canada. The resort also has really interesting displays that highlight the area's history and significance. And I didn't try the mineral pool during this visit, but I definitely want to come back and stay at this resort at some point down the road. Now I'm going to take you further through the town of Manitou Beach, which has a surprising amount of cool stuff for a small lake village in the middle of the prairies. When I arrived in Manitou Beach, my first stop was at the famous Danceland Ballroom, one of the most well-known buildings in the area. I got really lucky when I visited Manitou Beach. Basically every place I went to, the owner or the manager was present, and they were all really helpful in giving me information about this place. When I arrived at Danceland, the owner, Millie, was there, and she sat down and talked with me for a while and gave me a ton of great information about this area. Danceland Ballroom was built in 1928, and the first dance was held here in 1930. And it is the home of the world-famous 5,000 square foot dance floor built on horsehair. There are very few nails used in the dance floor surface, and it essentially floats on a layer of horsehair underneath it to provide cushioning. There were actually many popular dance halls in this area over the years, particularly in the boom time of the 1920s and 1930s. But Danceland is the last remaining one in this village, and it's such a cool part of the area's history. I even heard multiple people mention a rumor that Elvis Presley performed at Danceland before he got really famous. And this is just such a cool building. I loved all of the posters and pictures of the different events that have been held here over the decades. I also happened to be in the village on Saturday evening when Danceland was holding their weekly dance, and it was just really beautiful to see the facility at night with the band playing and all the lights turned on above the dance floor. And it's funny, I got so lucky during this trip. The first time I showed up at Danceland in the daytime, the owner Millie was there, and that was very useful. And then when I arrived again in the evening to take video of the dance, just as I walked into the building, the band happened to be playing La Bamba. Now, if you're from Edmonton, which I am, this song has special significance as it's the Edmonton Oilers win song. And right now, the Oilers happen to be in the Stanley Cup playoffs, and I don't know, it just felt like a good omen to walk into the building with the band playing this song. I don't know how well that comment's gonna age, but go Oilers, and it was just a really cool moment for me. At any rate, Danceland is a beautiful facility with a rich history, and you have to stop in if you're visiting Manitou Beach. Danceland is on the east side of the village, so now I'll move west towards the main part of the town's commercial area. And along this road you'll find an interesting collection of houses and cabins and cool little places to stay. As I was walking down this road, this old hotel really stood out for me. I was talking to the owner of the Salty Surf Inn right across the street, and she told me that the Village Inn was shut down in the early 1980s, but it was owned by a lady from New York City who had visited the lake and fell in love with the area. And apparently this same lady also opened a brine shrimp facility in this village. So Little Manitou Lake doesn't have any fish in it due to the salt content, and pretty much the only life it can support are brine shrimp. And many different people over the years have harvested and sold these brine shrimp from the lake. This is actually one of the many interesting aspects of the area highlighted in the Watrous Manitou Beach Heritage Center. This is a fantastic facility in the town of Watrous, about 5 kilometers south of Manitou Beach. And I'm going to do a separate video on that town in a few days. And then McLaughlin Ave is the lakeside main street of the village. Along this road you'll find Relics Art and Antiques. This is a great spot with a really fantastic collection of vintage and antique items as well as local art. And I definitely recommend this place. The Manitou Mini Mart is a clean and well-stocked store with very friendly people, and they are especially known for their delicious ice cream. Many people in town mentioned Mike's Beach Bar, and it's hard to miss with its colorful mural that adds to the pleasant beach vibe of this village. The owner was there when I stopped in. He was a great guy, and this place just has a really fun vibe, and the food smelled great, honestly. And then right next door to Mike's Beach Bar is Oda Coffee and Wine Bar. This is a fantastic spot with just excellent food, service, and atmosphere. Honestly, Oda has much better quality than you'll usually find in a small beach town. I had a piece of their coconut cream pie, and it was honestly one of the best pieces of pie I've ever had. I also had a wonderful drink on their lakeside patio, and this is just a very relaxing place to hang out. Oda is relatively new to the village, but they have already earned an excellent reputation, and you have to stop in here when you're visiting Manitou Beach. The well-known Burger Boy Burger Shack was currently under renovations when I visited, but this is just another one of the cool little buildings in this village. And then along the lakeshore in the village, you'll find a bunch of different sandy beaches, parks, and sports facilities, and they just have plenty of space for people to enjoy the lake. And then of course along the lakeshore, and throughout the village for that matter, you'll find a bunch of cool little bed and breakfasts and inns and places to stay. And I'm sure you've already noticed this, but throughout the village you're going to find all these different wood carvings, and I'm going to get to the origins of these carvings later in the video. And then on the western end of Manitou Beach is the Saskabilities Camp Easter Seal. So during the 1930s, Canada was undergoing a depression, but the lake area itself was doing pretty well. and the government constructed a luxurious resort hotel in the village as a relief project, and they used almost exclusively local materials. At the time, the area of Manitou Lake was actually a provincial park, and like I mentioned, this village once rivaled Banff and Jasper as a Western Canadian resort destination. And so this resort, built by the provincial government, consisted of 290 acres, and it was operated as a commercial hotel until the 1950s. In 1956, the provincial government divided the property and sold the park chalet to the Saskatchewan Society for Crippled Children for $1. This organization is now called Camp Easter Seal, and this camp would provide a summer resident camp for people experiencing disability. The entire facility is set up to accommodate people with different disabilities and mobility issues, and they offer campers a wide range of activities. Camp Easter Seal is now operated by Saskabilities, and in its 65 years plus of operation, it has been Saskatchewan's only fully barrier-free camp. And this is a really beautiful spot. Now, normally people are not permitted to take video in this camp, but again, I got really lucky. When I walked into the camp, the manager was on site, and he was gracious enough to sit down with me and even give me a tour of the facility. When I arrived at the camp, they were actually training staff for the upcoming season, and it was a bit of a quiet time, and so it wasn't a big deal for me to go through the camp and take a bit of video. And I'm glad I got to visit this place. Other than the spectacular architecture in the main buildings, this is just a really beautiful spot overall, and it's really cool that they have a place like this in Saskatchewan that offers people with disabilities a wide range of outdoor activities. Just up the hill from Camp Easter Seal is the beautiful and very popular Manitou Beach Golf Club. This is a very well-maintained 9-hole course with a fully equipped pro shop and restaurant, and one of the many ways that people in this area can enjoy the outdoors. Right across Highway 365 from the golf course is the drive-in at Manitou Beach. And what a relic from the past, hey? This is actually one of only 4 drive-in theaters in Saskatchewan. They're still open, and right now they're gearing up for their summer season, and May through September every year they have a flea market on this site every Sunday. And then just outside the drive-in you'll find a large combine that was used in the movie Twister. I actually saw that movie in theaters in 1996 and I loved it, and so it was really cool seeing a prop from that film way out at Manitou Beach. And then just to the east of the drive-in is the Manitou Beach Community Hall area. The hall itself has a colorful mural depicting the history of the village, and this area also has horseshoe pits, ball diamonds, and an off-leash dog park. And then beside the community hall is the wood carving area. Obviously, Manitou Beach has quite a few different wood carvings throughout the village, and that is because every 2 years the biannual Manitou Beach Chainsaw Carving Festival takes place in the summer. The last festival was August of 2023, so the next one is summer of 2025. And this is one of the big festivals in the area, and many of these carvings have been incorporated into the village. And this is just one of the many things that makes this area unique. And it seems like Manitou Beach really celebrates creativity. And then just south of the drive-in theater and park area is a campground with 230 campsites. And then 1 kilometer south of that is the Murray Disc Golf Facility. I apologize, I did not take footage of this area, but it's quite popular with visitors. And then I'm going to move north into the village again because I have to mention the beautiful Little Manitou Art Gallery. This gallery features artwork by over 250 Saskatchewan artists displayed for sale along 5 pavilion galleries along the path of the Spiral Garden, which itself features larger works of art. The property is on a hill, as is much of the village, and it's just a really dynamic and interesting space with different levels and buildings to explore. There was way too much great art to cover in this video, but I wanted to mention one specific artist because his shirts really caught my attention. His company is called Lovely, and his website is lovelyclothing.ca. I'll put that up on the screen. And this artist just makes these fantastic shirts. Some of them are made with high quality vintage fabrics such as old tablecloths, and the quality of his craftsmanship is impeccable. Honestly, I think this guy is going to be selling these shirts across the country one day. He also does custom Manitou Beach prints on hoodies and t-shirts, and he just has a great collection of high quality clothing. And this is definitely an artist worth supporting and one of the cool little surprises I found in Manitou Beach. Another cool area of the village I wanted to mention is Wellington Park on the east side of town, just south of Danceland. This is a walking trail with a creek running beside it, and this was actually a very pleasant place to hang out. At the southern end of this park is the labyrinth, and you are supposed to walk the path of the labyrinth in quiet meditation and prayer. They actually have specific instructions written down, but I just quickly walked the labyrinth to say I did it, but next time I'm going to slow down and do it properly. And then just northwest of the labyrinth there's a hill, and I walked up there to see if I could get a better view of this area. And it turns out this hill offers excellent views of the village, and there's even another sculpture up here. This one is made of metal parts, and it just further adds to the eclectic and artistic vibe of Manitou Beach. There's also this poetry trail running through the village, and at different spots you'll find these different poetry posts, and this is just another way that the community celebrates creativity. And that pretty much wraps up this particular video. I already feel like it's going to be way too long, and I definitely want to do more videos of Manitou Beach down the road. I mean, honestly, I think that the Manitou Springs Resort and Danceland could each have their own videos, because there are very interesting things about those places that I didn't get to in this one. And then I'm going to post a separate video on the town of Watrous on Sunday. Watrous is about 5 kilometers south of Manitou Beach, and it has an interesting history of its own. In particular, like I mentioned, their museum is really top-notch, and I learned a lot about this area by going through that facility. And I'm really looking forward to sharing a video on Watrous in a few days. But I just had a great time visiting Manitou Beach. It's way more interesting than I thought it would be, and honestly, the people here were a lot friendlier and nicer than your average folks. And so I would definitely recommend visiting the resort village of Manitou Beach and even staying there for a night or two. It has so much to offer visitors, and I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. I hope you found this interesting and informative, and if you'd like to watch more of my content in general, please consider subscribing to my channel. I upload at least one new video per week. Thank you for watching. I hope you have a great day, and I look forward to seeing you next time on the Strange North channel.